Today, Liss and I are going to hopefully offer you some framework and some understanding about chakras and what chakras even are.
Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational, and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liss. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. So I would like to start with, just my perspective. That's what we share here is our perspectives. And I would like to highlight the importance of all of the things that we've talked about in all of our other videos about thought and how our thoughts and our words create everything, create energy, create our lives, create all of the things that we don't even realize start from thought, start from the word. And this is also true for energy. Energy, consciousness, thought patterns, all of this influences how we feel. It influences our well-being or lack thereof. So what are chakras? Some people, well, most people I would think consider chakras an energy center. But we do have to remember that every cell is energy. Every cell does produce energy. So it isn't just limited to, 7 energy centers that are very commonly well known. We can talk about those 7 energy centers into more detail, and we will. But I'm trying to lay a little foundation here that it isn't just those 7. It isn't just those centers. It's a much broader scope on an energetic level that we have to keep in mind while we are talking about these centers. So what are these energy centers? They are different aspects of our energetic body, but it's also, our energetic body isn't separate from our physical body or our mental body or our emotional body. It's all, it's all intertwined. It's all one big, beautiful bundle. But they do represent different frequencies that we can associate to beliefs or emotions, physiological functions that we see in the body or we don't see in the body. And again, I have to enforce that our beliefs and our false beliefs will influence and will shape that energy. This is really key because our belief does shape energy. And I know that might sound a little odd, but if you've listened to our other recordings, you probably have that dialed in pretty good now. So I'm just going to really briefly touch on each chakra, and I'm going to hear what Melissa has to say about all of these things. I'll start with the 7 main chakras that most people are very familiar with, run through the central part of the body. And usually we begin at the root. And where is the root? The root really is essentially just above where you sit, basically. It is the root of your seat. And it's kind of hard to describe this one, but it also is directly linked to our survival and our stability, our foundational beliefs that we're talking about from in utero. A lot of scientists believe that it goes well beyond that. It's ingrained right into our DNA, but it's also the beliefs that we develop as we age. So, as we start learning words and as we start learning talking and as we start to learn about our world around us, those beliefs are part of that system. So it has a lot to do with security. When you hear people say you're not grounded, this is one of the chakras that can be out of balance and can help you become more grounded. It's the very basic needs of life. And then we have the sacral chakra, and it is right below your belly button. It's associated with flow and creativity, or lack of flow and creativity. So one might think of water in the belly. This isn't flowing freely. When people feel blocked, or they feel like they have writer's block, or they just don't feel in sync, this is one of the first places that we'll look to see if you have a block of this flow. When things are flowing easily and freely, when the chakra is really happy, that is when we are more creative, and that is when we do feel the emotions flow and not get stuck. The next one we will talk about is the solar plexus, and this is actually right above the navel. This is the one that I think of, especially in my own experience, because so many years I struggled with digestive issues. And I know that a lot of my emotions were stored in my belly. They were just locked up in there. And it was a time when I didn't feel that I had a lot of power over my life, a lot of self-authority. I felt complete lack of control, basically, and it really showed up in that chakra for me. And I think this shows up in a lot of people. Even if they didn't have digestive issues, this can show up when we feel like um, relationships might not be in harmony, or especially at work, when we feel like uh, our supervisors or our bosses or people in our workplace have power over us, we can feel powerless. And this can show up a lot in that chakra. And of course, then we have the heart chakra. So that's obviously where we feel love, but it's also where we feel our connection with source. I probably don't have to tell you where the chakra is, but it is right in the center of the chest. And it is associated with our lungs as well. It isn't just the heart, but this is where we can experience when our chakra isn't open or isn't flowing beautifully. This is where we can feel breathing issues. We can feel heart palpitations. We can feel grief and sorrow and all kinds of different things that can influence that chakra. And then my favorite, because this is the place that I feel it most, is the throat chakra. I sincerely know very few women who don't struggle with speaking their truth or speaking up or being heard. This is so common with women. It doesn't mean that men aren't also equally challenged with this throat chakra. In fact, a lot of men can be challenged by speaking too much, by saying too much, by exerting their authority too much, or, whatever. There's whatever it is that's causing the imbalance that can show up in the throat chakra. And again, we have to remember thoughts and beliefs precede the word and precede what we're creating. So this can be a place that can commonly be a little wonky. Then we have what is called the third eye chakra. This one is right in the center of the forehead. We've seen a lot of pictures with the eyeball right in the forehead. That's that chakra that we're talking about there. And this is where our intuition is either flowing or stuck. when we're feeling very intuitive, it's quite likely that this third eye chakra is flowing beautifully. The energy there is working as it should. When we're feeling, again, when we're feeling shut down, our perceptions might be a little wonky. We might be cloudy. Our thinking might be a little fuzzy. This is where it's going to show up in the chakra. And then there is the crown. The crown literally is right at the top of the head. And this is where any time that I feel in connection with the divine or God or the cosmos or oneness or infinite intelligence, whatever it is that you want to call it, I call it divine or source. I use those interchangeably for myself, but whatever it is that you call it, it's the pure consciousness that we are, that we can forget while we're running around in the human body having a human experience. But this is where we can really easily and quickly reconnect, is just right at the top of our head. Remember our divinity, but remember our, what is the word I'm looking for, Melissa?
Sovereignty.
Thank you. There's the word I was looking for. Perfect.
Well, hun, you've said so much, I'm not even sure where to begin nor where to pick up from that.
Well, I just gave such a brief overview. I think it would be great, just to kind of give an introduction, but then start diving into more detail. What if the root chakra is really wonky or really closed off or perhaps overactive? What can somebody notice? And what can somebody do to make sure that that's flowing as it should?
Okay, now backtrack. We're nowhere near there yet.
Okay.
Yeah. If I need to start anywhere, it's going to be with first understanding the way that my mind conceptualizes of an energy center is like the example we see in so many various ways in nature. So, for example, the way that rivers flow into a lake and then how that all flows into the ocean, or how the nervous system is connected like branches and roots of a tree throughout our physical body, or even how the neural network in our brain functions. If people can conceptualize one or more of those structures in terms of what is happening with the energy flow in our bodies, it is very similar to rivers, lakes, and the ocean, to tree trunks and branches and roots, or the nervous system or the neural network. It is very, very similar. And so, like you said, the chakra center or the energy center is the vortex that we can liken to a lake. It's where the energy actually collects and rests for a time, where it's contained. But that energy has come from all the rivers, all the branches, the roots that are flowing into it. And that is why we can look externally to ourselves for the source of what is the energy that we are connecting to, that is then flowing through to that container where it is collected and stored. And in totality, forms the health of our energetic body. And we experience that as our general state of being, whether that's physical health, emotional health, mental clarity, joy, happiness, the frequencies we're able to access and the level of health in our body depends on what we are connecting to, where we are channeling that energy from. And those centers, in terms of where they are positioned in our body, align with our endocrine system. And that is where the thoughts, the words, the feelings connect, because they generate chemical responses. They generate hormones that are then coursing through this system and affecting the overall health and energy of the center itself. So if we think of the root center, the root chakra, first of all, the color correspondence there in terms of frequency is red. So just like in a rainbow, various frequency bands resonate with different colors. The energy centers in our body are a rainbow. So the red frequency spectrum is right at the bottom. It is the base chakra, the root chakra. At the bottom of our spine, like you say, where we sit, it is the very first power center. And the energy that is represented there is the energy of this material life, this physical body and its survival, how safe we feel, and the extent to which we are operating from our survival instincts in our brains. So to what extent are we being animalistic? All of those things will sit in the root chakra and either be flowing healthily or blocked. And so because of that, the root chakra is also the center of all negative coping mechanisms, all defense mechanisms, and all addictions. So if that center is imbalanced because of what we believe, what we feel as a result of what we believe, the words we speak, our mental constructs, our instinctive responses, and our overall scared and can I survive energy state of being, that is going to be a root chakra center imbalance. And that will reflect in the life in terms of whether we do or do not struggle with addictions, whether we have very negative defense and coping mechanisms which destroy our relationships, whether we feel safe and secure in the world. What is our overall outlook? Do we think the world is a wonderful place full of beautiful people? Or do we think that this world is a terrible, awful place full of evil people? And in general terms, those issues are root chakra issues.
I couldn't agree more. And we often see, I forgot about addiction. I'm glad that you brought that up because we often see that as a coping mechanism for how uncomfortable we feel.
Yeah. Exactly. Addictions are addictions because the density of the substance that is used actually assists in pushing the emotional energy down below the solar plexus so that we can't feel it. It is literally the mechanism of suppression. And that is what will very often manifest physically as some form of a disease instead. So the density of the addictive substance, remember, it's chemical. So it uses the endocrine system. The chemicals of the addictive substance are so dense and so low that they will push the frequency of the emotion down to where we can't feel it. So it's all the emotional spectrums below denial that will sit in the root chakra. Probably yes. I've actually had many requests on my channel to deal with that, how to climb the emotional frequency spectrum. So yes, that will have to be an episode at some point.
Wonderful.
But before I move on to the sacral chakra, Hannah, is there anything you want to add in terms of the root chakra? Because I think we have another minute or so on this episode, believe it or not.
I think really the most important piece is that awareness of what we think and what we feel is going to reflect in the body. And our response to how we think and how we feel is everything. You know, like you said, if our response is to sit with it for a moment and just be willing to feel whatever it is that we're feeling rather than suppress it, we're going to have such a better outcome. And I've done both. I for many years I suppressed it all, and decided that that really wasn't a great plan. It wasn't working so well. So, when you start to become willing to just face these challenges, and when you dip your toe in the pool of facing challenges and you realize it's really not so bad, it's the fear that leads up to that was bad. The dealing with the emotion or the challenges or the struggles or the things we don't understand is kind of a cakewalk compared to the fear that leads up to that process. So, I would say the only thing that I would really say is don't let fear get in your way, even though we're talking about the fear chakra.
Yes. And like you briefly mentioned, when you have a healthy root chakra, then you can truly be grounded. Because the emotional element, the water element, resides in the bottom half of our torso. So it resides with the kidneys, which filter, and the bladder, which releases, and the guts, the intestines, which also release. That's where the water element is. So you don't want that to become toxic water emotions that you're holding onto, because the groundedness that is in your legs and your feet cannot hold you steady if your water is toxic. So it's about that elemental understanding and how the elements function through the body that is so critical to understanding the health of the centers as well. We are so perfectly designed if we will not damage our own wellness.
It is such a beautiful design. Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.